Everyone, welcome back to another interesting episode of Breaking the Ceiling. My name is Ashwin Bhadri, the founder and CEO of Equinox Labs, and your host for today. Today, I want to talk about one of my favorite foods of all time, which is cookies. Right? I am somebody who follows a pretty strict diet, but when it comes to cookies, I do have a bit of a sweet tooth, and I do give way once in a while. Today, I want to talk to somebody who has created a lot of waves in this business. Today, we're going to be talking to Arushi, who is the founder of Dohful Cookies. Hey, Arushi, welcome to the show.
Hi Ashwin, thank you so much for having me.
So, Arushi, I've been hearing so much about Dohful Cookies, but before we, jump into Dohful, I would love to know your story till before Dohful.
Okay, so I used to live in Mumbai. So for most of my life, I have lived in Mumbai. So I even today I call myself practically a Mumbaiker, and I used to I was in Mumbai and I was teaching in a previous lifetime. I used to be a professor in an engineering college. So I used to be teaching there, and somehow we had a session for the students wherein they were discussing entrepreneurial career paths. Okay, and I don't know how many students got inspired by that, but I certainly did. So then I started, and this was back in 2011 or so, I guess. And I started sort of, reading more about entrepreneurship and what paths I can take further in life and stuff like that. And I realized that I was missing a lot of, there was no ecosystem around entrepreneurship, or there were no like-minded people. Whenever I would talk to my friends, they were hardly interested in entrepreneurship. Nobody had even heard of it. So since I didn't know what to do next, and I talked to a couple of my friends, and nobody was showing any sort of that kind of mindset as I wanted it to be. I decided that let me do an MBA, and probably वहाँ पे लोग are talking about business more than what my friend circle is doing, at least. So I in 2012 I joined IMT Ghaziabad as a marketing major, and my first and foremost and the last aim of joining IMT was that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I just wanted to start a business of my own, and I didn't know how I was going to go about it. But I just went into it thinking that I'll find somebody who wants to do this. And this was my thought. I thought I'll find a professor maybe who can help me, or I can find a person like a peer in the, in my class or in my college who's ready to do this. Or at least I'll find somebody who has had some kind of previous thought process or mindset or some idea which would help me. So at that point of time, I had no idea what my journey was going to be and stuff like that. But I just went in thinking that. Talk about my luck that 10 days in, and there's this announcement in college that we are having a new club. So there's always a e-cell in every college, but there was a new club that was forming that year, and which was called Vishit Ventures, and they were basically focusing on starting a business from college itself. So it was one step ahead. Yes. So the whole idea of the club was that you have to start a business from while being in college. I said this is the thing for me, and honestly, Ashwin, that club lasted just for 2 batches. Mine was first, and then the next batch. So today that club doesn't exist. So I always tell my friends that club was made just for me, and I think sandwiches was the only I'm telling you about sandwiches was our first venture, but our first venture was the only venture that actually came out of that club, which became so big, and that even the professors in IMT talk about it today's date. So I got into that club, and there were like 12 of us, and we started brainstorming what we wanted to do, what we didn't want to do, and most of the ideas while you're in college are sort of impossible to implement. So we decided after a lot of to and fro that we'll just go, and so we were participating in a lot of college events at that time. We were doing startup weekends and God knows what. So then finally we decided that we'll just take up a space near our college, and we'll start a sandwich burger based outlet, because I was from Mumbai and a lot of the people in the group had either been to Mumbai or stayed there or something like that, and we missed the Mumbai street sandwiches. So we decided that we'll just open a street sandwich kind of a shop here in Ghaziabad, and we'll just start selling that. So it was a very tiny 90 square feet shop, as I told you, and it was a very humble beginning for all of us. And I think all 12 of us learned a lot from that beginning, and that was our first, couple of steps to how I am today, basically.
So 12 of you started one shop,
Yeah.
90 square feet. How
Yeah.
do 12 people fit into 90 square feet?
So we all had college, right? So we were dividing our time. So there was a schedule which used to be made, and from this hour to this hour, this person will go. From this hour to this hour, that person will go. And we had our whole inauguration and stuff. We called our college dean. So it was all like proper college kind of an event, sort of, and. Yeah, even today, so now that 90 square feet shop is about 800 square feet or so. And even today, the entire IMT college, they know about it, they visit it, whenever there's any event or, whenever a new batch comes in. So I know a couple of professors who mention about sandwiches every single time a new batch comes in. So it's like marketing right over there. So then people, whoever the new batch is, they go to check that out. Okay, this professor mentioned this brand, let's go eat there. So that's like the story is continuing from there.
So after this, how did you come up with the idea for Dohful Cookies?
So we were doing sandwiches after even we graduated. In 2014 we graduated, and sandwiches was continuing. By 2015, 16 or so, I guess, 16 or so, I guess, we had grown up to 6 outlets.
All in Ghaziabad?
No. So one was in Ghaziabad, then Noida, then Delhi and stuff like that. One we also had in Hyderabad. So it was quite scattered, but yeah, it was 5 of them were in Delhi NCR, one was in Hyderabad. So we were growing, and we were we were having fun growing our outlets. Even like per outlet, we were growing a little bit, and then number of outlets was growing. But what used to sort of pinch us was that every single time we used to go to a new location, it was like starting from scratch, and it was not a very scalable thing that you could do from one single outlet. So it was very geographically limiting for us. So we started by then we started talking and thinking about how we can do something at a larger scale, and how we can service more people and more area, basically, from a single place or a single point of business. So this kind of thing was going on in our mind by that time. So by this time, after graduation, it was just me and my co-founder husband Chaman, who was sort of remaining in the business. So and then we got married. So then we were on our honeymoon to Europe, and this is all like going on. Sandwiches growing on one side, and we're getting married on the other. Then we are on a honeymoon. So all of this is happening. So we were on a honeymoon, and over there, we sort of never expected that we'll find a product which we will, fall in love with. And the first time we had soft baked cookies, we were introduced to over there. It was like really falling in love with that kind of product. So I'm not a biscuit person. I say this to everyone. I hate those dry biscuits that we get in India, and everyone eats them, but I just hate them. So when I had that soft baked cookie, it was so soft and just like a slight crunch on the edges, but when you bite into it, it was so soft, loaded with nuts and chocolates and God knows what. So it was like having an entire dessert by yourself, and it was an amazing experience for both of us. So then we started talking that how have we missed this? First question was why don't we know about this? Okay, why don't we know that cookies are so tasty? And then the second thing was that is anyone even doing this in India? On this scale and in this way, basically. So then we sort of started discussing. Then we came back and we started trying cookies at different places. So, but we always sort of were dissatisfied with the experience that we got. So finally, we decided that we should probably start a cookie company, because there's something which is so delicious, and the whole world loves cookies. I don't know. I've not met a single person who says that I don't like cookies. So Yeah, so the whole world loves cookies, and still there were no good cookies in India. So we thought that it was a huge, thing where we could add value, we could provide good cookies, and if not us, then who? Sort of like that. And so then we started. We started Dohful. So Dohful went live in October 2018, but we had started working on it since I think April 2018 or something. So it took us a lot of time to get our recipes right, to get that perfect consistency and texture that we wanted. And it was not like we had to make one batch of good cookies, right? We had to make batches and batches of good cookies consistently, day in, day out. So that took some time for us. Plus, we also wanted our cookies to be like 100% eggless and still be able to travel all across the country, anywhere in India, and retain their texture and their form as they should. So that took some time for us to get around with. But yeah, I'm so glad that we were able to cross that initial hurdle.
That is fantastic. So tell me about how did you come up with the name Dohful Cookie?
Okay, that is a very long story. So we have, so dough basically means dough, DOH is a short, cute little version of DOUGH basically. So which is what the cookies are made from. So we were very like from day one we were very sure that the cookies that we will make would be different. So how they would be different? Because the basic dough or the basic thing that we'll make them from has to be different. So it can't be the same cookies that we get anywhere here in India. So it can't be the same thing and then we're expecting a different result from that. So it can't be that. So we have to make our dough from scratch and have to figure out every single ingredient of that dough from scratch. So in the beginning, we were so fixated on getting our dough right to finally get our cookie right that we were sort of like in that frame of mind of getting the dough right. So we used to always talk about we have to get our dough right. We have to get our dough right. So from there, sort of and then we short formed it to DOH basically, and then full is just because the it just comes from wholesomeness or like say beautiful, so something like that. So from there that full comes in, and so the cookies are dough-full. So the dough is the whole art in the cookie, so that's why it comes.
That is so interesting because whenever I come across names of companies, right, and the backstories are so interesting that there's so much history woven into it. There's so much, the story about the founders woven into that, this thing, and the process also sometimes woven into the name. It's always very interesting to find out how did somebody name a company. So while you were building this, did you have any inspirations? Did you have any companies or people you were like, okay, I want to be like this person, I want to be like this company? Did you have any inspiration that way?
So there were a lot of companies in say New York or basically US who are cookie focused, and they are known for their cookies. Not sure if you know about this, but there's a bakery called Levain Bakery in New York, and they are famous for their cookies. So though I have not been there, but those guys have been an inspiration of sorts in the way that how the cookies should be or how they should taste, or how basically how people are so loyal to their cookies that and their basically I was just reading about them once, and somebody said that their cookies are so consistent that like there's no choice but I have to be loyal about them. So that sort of stuck with me, and that's when I decided that we have to be, even though we are handcrafted, even though we are made 100% from scratch every single day, there are no machine like processes here, but still we have to have cookies which are consistent day in, day out. Somebody who's placing their first order versus somebody who's placing their 50th order the experience should be exactly the same.
So tell me about an exciting or an adventurous moment you've had in the journey so far?
The exciting thing was after the pandemic, basically, we were closed for a couple of weeks there. And when we came back, we started, shipping out orders again. We told all our subscribers that we had started again and their orders would be, shipped soon and stuff like that. What we didn't realize was that probably people were waiting for us to restart, and probably people were, wanting cookies so much that we started growing, organically, and we went from 1 month to other, and we went 13x in that month, just by telling our customers that we were back. So that time was very exciting because we had to sort of very quickly realign everything in our kitchen and grow our team immediately and stuff like that. And it was challenging for a few days to manage that kind of volume. But yeah, very soon it was like that. I think that is the most amazing thing that has happened to us in Dohful.
So, what were some of what was one of the biggest challenges that you faced when you were starting off?
So, as I told you, when we were starting off, we had a very particular type of cookie in mind. So, our challenge was it had to be a soft baked cookie, it had to maintain its texture of being a soft baked cookie. Even today, or if a person eats it, like say 10 days later, it had to be, the same texture. Then it had to travel all across India. We were doing a completely eggless, no preservatives, no additives cookie. So this was a completely handmade, made from scratch cookie that a person would probably make in their own kitchen. Okay, so it was that kind of a cookie, but it had to be shelf stable. It had to be something that would, maintain, that somebody would eat and would say, okay, this I have got from a very nice bakery or a very nice place, something like that. So all the features of a gourmet cookie, but made in a kitchen and not in a factory. So the whole experience had to be like that. Plus, it had to go to your house, like it had to be delivered to you. There's no space where you could come and buy it. So all of that had to be managed in from that single cookie. And to get that cookie right, to get those textures right, we took a lot of time to do R&D with our products and stuff like that. And even today's date, we are very particular about how our cookies are looking, how are they in texture, how are they reaching, what kind of reviews are we getting from that, and stuff like that. So we are very particular about that. So that was one of the challenge that we faced earlier, but yeah, we were able to work it out.
In your entrepreneur journey, I'm very sure you had some failures, right? Something that you tried that didn't work. What was one of the failures, and what was your learning from that failure?
So one of the failures that I can remember in Dohful only was that we launched a cookie, and this was like I was doing R&D with a new flavor, and we tried it out within our team, and everyone loved it. So especially my co-founder Chaman, he went absolutely ballistic crazy about that cookie, and he was like, "We launched this within a week." So he just gave a target that we have to launch this cookie within a week, and we all set to work. We made it a couple of more times. It didn't look that there was something, everything looked fine, okay, and it was going too good to be true, basically. So we just went ahead. We launched it. The next week, I think 8 days and or so. In 8 days time we launched it, and when it was dispatched, after that, everyone who got the cookie after 2 days, so like within Delhi NCR, delivery time is next day, then metro cities it is 2 days, and then rest everyone else takes about 3 to 4 days. But rest everyone else, when they got the cookies had mold in it. And that was like the worst thing that could have ever happened, because these were the people who had been our loyal customers. We had emailed them, we had gotten in touch with them, and we had asked them to buy it. There was a new flavor and stuff like that. So the whole hype was created, and then after that the cookies had molds in it. I was like, oh my god, how do I even come back from this? Who is going to trust us now? So then we started calling each I think we called like 200 or so people in that very single day. So me, my co-founder, then one of our teammates, Ananya, she also came in. And the three of us called some 200 people and we asked them, how was your experience? So most of 60% of them said, yeah, it was good. Okay. And or they mentioned some problem which was not a big problem. Okay. Maybe they didn't like the taste or something like that. Okay. Maybe they had some advice to give, but it was not a big problem. But then there was a huge 40% chunk who said that the cookies had mold in it because maybe the transit time was bigger or something, there was some issue. And then we had to recall all of those cookies, then give them another different flavor because obviously we couldn't keep making these cookies now. So then I'll tell you what the cookie was also. So it was a strawberry and chocolate cookie, and we were using fresh strawberries in that. And the whole issue was that the fresh strawberries had too much moisture in it, which we sort of didn't anticipate at that point of time, because when they were being baked, it was looking fine. And even we had it 2-3 days later sitting in office, it was fine. But being in scorching heat outside in the sun during transit, something definitely went wrong there. And so that was a big learning, that do not do anything without doing a full check. But thankfully most of the people actually did forgive us, and they in fact they were happy that we sort of owned up to our mistake. So
I think that communication which is there and the trust which you have in your consumers and the consumers have in you, if that trust is broken or shaken, you need to take extreme measures and quickly, proactively to rebuild that trust. Because once that
exactly,
shatters,
yeah.
then you can't go back to the beginning again, right? It's going to be very difficult to build that up. So before it shatters, there'll be a small crack. You need to go and fix it before the entire plate of trust breaks. Right, so I think the fact that you reached out quickly and were able to apologize, give them a replacement for a new one, that itself was I think a big exercise. And what I've seen is a lot of brands, when something this way happens, they try and hide it, they try and cover it up, right? So at Equinox, there are so many times there are screw ups because we do so many different things. There are screw ups. Anytime we know that there's a screw up, the first thing we do, forgetting the cost or anything else, we call the client, let them know, hey, we messed up. So sorry, this went wrong. Machine broke down, samples broken, transit, whatever, there are 100 things that can go wrong. But the minute it happens, we call up, we say, hey, sorry, we made a mistake. This is what we're doing to fix it, right? 99.9% of the people will be happy that we were able to reach out, and our relation actually becomes stronger. It doesn't get weaker.
So, like what happened with us also was the similar thing. So when we reached out to them, many of them had not even opened the cookies by that time. So they were like, okay, let me just check. I have received it, but I have not opened it. Then they called up maybe half an hour later saying, okay, yeah, there's some problem with the cookies. Okay, let me. So what can we do about it? So then immediately when we said ki, okay, fine, we're dispatching a new box. You can just get rid of that one and stuff like that. People were actually very happy that we sort of owned up to our mistake rather than just saying, okay, no, this is just a one-time thing and we are not going to do anything about it. So we also went one step ahead, and so we have a Sunday letter which we send out to all our subscribers and customers every single week, and over there we just tell people anything and everything that is happening with us in Dohful. So after this huge mishap, like a month or two later, we sort of wrote about it, and to let even the other people know. So say 200 people would have received the cookies, but the subscriber base is way more huge. So like we reached out to them and we told them the whole story that this happened and stuff like that. You won't believe, I received at least 70-80 replies back from our customer base saying that I have not seen a brand who is so openly owning up to their mistake. And even after it happened, then now 2 months later you guys are coming and saying okay, humne aise, we screwed up. So so even that was that also instills a lot of trust in people on us as a cookie brand. So me and Chaman, we keep talking about this, that we started Dohful because one, we loved cookies over there in Europe. Second, but the main reason was not even that. The main reason was we hated what was being sold in the name of cookies here in India. Okay, so the thing is that we can't be a part of that tribe. Okay, we have to make our own tribe. We have to go our own way, and say that we will stay true to the cookies. So that is something that we want to do, whatever happens. So even if we do screw up, we will come back to our track and we will continue this track, that we have to serve the best kind of cookies possible.
Excellent. Tell me about any myth that is associated with entrepreneurship or with bakeries or with cookies. Any myth that you'd want to bust?
Myth. Okay.
That's a difficult one.
Yeah, I know. Because there are a lot of myths actually. So a lot of people feel that you've made a good product, now you must be like just selling. It must be selling like hotcakes. So that's not true actually. You have to, even digital marketing or anything like that is a huge feat in itself, and just to convince people to buy something from you, anything, it might be anything, is a huge task. And if a person, an entrepreneur who themselves are starting a business, don't know the skill of making people buy from them, then I don't think the company can go.
So I think so. I used to be an angel investor in a lot of companies, right, back in the day. And when I used to look at business plans, first thing I used to look for is the marketing budget, and then in the deck a marketing plan. And if these two things weren't there, I did not even talk. Like, I didn't waste time beyond the coffee. Because people, and I say like, hey, how are you going to market the product? They're like, no, this product is so good, people will come. I'm like, nobody's going to come, right? And I've seen every successful company, right, that I've worked with, their marketing plan, their market positioning, and the amount of time and effort they spend on promoting their brand is equally proportionate to their overall success. Right? And many people who ignore it, like, you have the best product, but if nobody knows about your best product, nobody's going to buy it. Right? So I think that becomes a big thing. So I think you guys are doing a fantastic job at marketing. I love, I saw some of your social media presence. I loved it. So how are you creating that? Is that in-house? Do you have an agency? How are you guys doing it?
So everything is in-house. We do everything ourselves. So we have also built the studio here, in the same space that we have our bakery, in the same building basically. And so what we here do is that everything that we need to do, we need to create videos, we need to create photos, any sort of content that we need to do is being done here itself. So like you were telling me, right, that you guys are a media company, and you have people in your content team and stuff like that. So exactly that's the way we do things here in Dohful. In fact, I'll tell you, very recently we were doing a collaboration with another DTC brand, and I asked them, okay, you guys send me a product and I'll do a photo shoot quickly. So then they were very surprised that you're doing a photo shoot now, like day after tomorrow we have to launch this this thing, we have to go live with this thing, and you would do the shoot today. So I said, yeah, everything is ready, I have the lights, I have the camera, everything is ready. I just have to place the products and go about it. What's the big deal? And then so from their perspective, it was like that, if they have to plan a shoot, they have to send their products to somebody else, and then that guy would shoot, and it's a whole 10-day process, wherein with us it's like a 10-minute process, because we are always creating content.
So I think that becomes literally one of the secret sauces, right? So for example, one of the secret sauces at Equinox has been our marketing team in-house. So we have a full-fledged agency in-house, right? From copywriters to videographers to graphic designers, web designers, PR professionals, content team, all in-house. Right? So anytime we create something new, we're able to get it out to the world in a creative way, in a very elegant way, very quickly. Even we used to do these on-ground events, like before COVID, we had produced something called Young Entrepreneurs Conference, and many things that way. And every time we did these events, 100, 200, 500 people used to come to it. And everyone used to ask, like, hey, who's organized it? Which team has organized it? I used to be like, it's my in-house team. They used to be like, really? Like, look at the scale at which you guys have done it, right? So having a great marketing team helps a lot. And for me, having a software team in-house has helped tremendously. Having a tech team in-house has been, we're able to create so much efficiency and so much, making the experience of the customer so much better. Having, technology in-house has been Amazing. So having that in-house
I completely agree with you. In fact, me and Chaman, we believe in doing everything, in house, and like so we start with we might start with doing something, with somebody else. So even in case of creating content or just creating basic photos for our website, we hired a few people, and then after our second or third hire, we thought ki in this the amount of effort that we take with every single photographer, every single photo shoot day, in that much, what we can do is that we can just have a camera ready, and every time we see a beautiful cookie coming out of the oven, we can just click it. So that would be a better way to go about it, rather than having a one single day dedicated for okay, today is my shoot day.
good day and shoot. We have to get all the cookies ready on that one day. So
Yeah. So we don't do that anymore.
So tell me, as an entrepreneur, you'll obviously need to multitask, right? Tell me a productivity hack that you follow that makes you more productive than others.
Okay, so one productivity hack that I follow is that I write down every single idea that comes to my mind. Like every single idea, if wherever I am, I'm driving my car, anything. So like if I'm alone, then obviously I'll have to wait for a few minutes before I stop my car. But if I'm with somebody, if I'm with like say a team member or even with Chaman, then I'll just ask them, okay, please open my phone and write this down, because then I'll forget it later. Because there's so many things that we are thinking about on a day-to-day basis, sometimes about operations, sometimes about creating content, sometimes about reusing some piece of content, sometimes about some meeting that we had with somebody. So we are thinking about so many things at the same time that I have found it practically impossible to remember it all. So that was something that I used to even struggle with, that certain things then slip through the cracks, and then you're thinking, oh, this was urgent, and then sometimes what happens is that then urgent things become your day rather than you planning your day. So then that's why I like to write down everything, so that I'm able to plan my day according to what I want rather than according to what what is urgent at this. Exactly, yeah. So that is the last thing that, so I have lived that life actually, honestly. I mean, I don't think any one of us are born productive. So we have to sort of take this journey to improve ourselves and go to this point of being productive. And I think it's a everyday process. Even today, if I stop writing down what I'm doing, then again I'll be back to my old days where things would start slipping through the cracks. But yeah, so this is something that I found very helpful.
So I think it's like a habit for life, right? I mean, you're not going to get rid of it ever. So something I started doing during the pandemic that has helped me quite a lot is I stand and I work. Like even my home office is not a sitting desk, it's a standing desk. And I realize the reason I do it is because I think best when I move and I walk. Even when I'm in office, if I'm with my team, I'm the one who's always near the board. I'm always standing, I'm always writing. Right? So I mimicked that when I started working from home and sitting down, because there's no teammate in front of you, right? It's all video. So you're sitting down and working, my productivity was very wavy. But when I stand and operate, it's much, much, much better. So that has been one of my productivity hacks. All right, so this is the last question I'm going to ask you, because I know you've taken out time from busy schedule to be here. So thank you for that. But last question: what kind of advice would you give a person entering the food business today? What advice would you give?
I'd say that in food, especially in food business, what ends up happening is that everyone is following trends. Okay, if there is, say for example, one coffee brand, suddenly there would be 10. Then if there is somebody doing cookies, then there would be 5 other people doing cookies. And people seldomly think about why they want to do something. Why is there any connection that they have with a certain product? Are they themselves connoisseurs of that product? Are they themselves facing any issues with whatever is there in the market? If not, then they should not do that thing. So like I always tell somebody, so I recently took a class on starting your own home business, and in that somebody asked me, are you planning to start vegan cookies? Okay, and my first answer was that why should I'm not vegan. I'm not so veganism is not something that I personally follow. this is not something close to my heart. I see no reason to go that way, and I'm sure that there are people who are feeling that way. So then they should be the ones who should be starting, vegan bakery brands or something like that, not me. So I'm not the right person to do that. So every single time a person goes into a food business and thinks that they want to start XYZ food brand, they should really stop and think whether they are the right person to start that particular food product brand or not. And if there is even iota of doubt that they should not be that person, probably don't start, because I also feel that entrepreneurship is a very expensive hobby. You get into it and then coming out of it is very difficult.
I love that. I love the last phrasing. Entrepreneurship is a very expensive hobby. I think it is my hobby, and it is probably I have this itch every year of doing something new. Right? I never said if a company is successful, then I think, okay, my work there is done. Let me go into something else new, or start something new within that company. Right? So
I completely understand. I think all entrepreneurs are same, and this itch in somebody is a very big thing because of which we start things, right? So, but then I always feel that if we're starting something new, we should be having that capability to take it to that height where it deserves. That place where then that inflection point comes and that thing starts to grow on its own. But till that point, you have to drag and pull and push and do everything under your power to make it work. So, and that takes a lot of effort. So if you're starting something just because another brand is doing it, then that effort simply doesn't come in. And if you're anyway going to drop something midway, then don't start. So it's a big thing actually. People don't think before they start. They don't think enough, I believe.
So I liked how you summarized that last point, which is if you're doing something, make sure it resonates with who you are as a person. You shouldn't have to become a different person to execute on that. So I think that's a fantastic takeaway, and I think that was my biggest learning of the day. So Ayushi, thank you so much for taking out the time and coming to Breaking the Ceiling and sharing so openly with our audience. The story of Dohful Cookies, is a very inspiring one. Very humble beginnings to, I think, the new heights which you guys are scaling is absolutely fantastic. And anything I or Equinox can do to help you scale that, we're always there to help. So thank you so much.
Definitely, I'll take you up on that. Thank you so much for having me. It was a very nice conversation that we had today.
This was absolutely fantastic. So guys, that was Arushi from Dohful Cookies. I think after listening to her story, there is definitely something new that you would have learned. Take a moment, write down whatever you've learned and implement it in your life. And I can guarantee you that you'll be breaking ceilings very soon. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys in the next show. Thanks. Bye.